What is the role of the sheriff when it comes to the safety and security of the people, and what are the consequences when he fails to fulfill that role?
So if you called for a call to service because you felt
Absolutely.
you felt that your safety was in jeopardy or you needed a law enforcement local
It was,
okay,
yes.
and they refused to respond, that's actually called dereliction of duty, and the sheriff needs to be investigated and prosecuted for failing to maintain his oath of office and his maintain what's best interest of the public safety. He ignored it.
He did.
He ignored it.
And put us in jeopardy,
and
actually.
It's in his county, and that is not acceptable. It's actually a law. He needs to respond. It's his county. And if he can't respond, he needs to have a mutual aid agreement with somebody else who will respond to take the call for service.
Right.
Now, having other jurisdictional deputies and police officers out in the area for this entire situation and just having them sit there a quarter mile down the road in turnouts does not classify responding to a call service. They need to come there and address your concern, make sure you feel safe, and they failed to do that. And this community should be absolutely outraged.
Outraged by that.
The community pays taxes into the public safety here. Your tax money is not being spent for the calls of service that's required. And the other concern that the sheriff should have went out there for is that it's my understanding there's a lot of ranchers and locals out there with you, right?
That's correct.
So his own community was out there. It wasn't just for responding for Pete.
We were unarmed protesters going there to address the issues peacefully, and we had a safety concern at that point in time, and that's where I thought it was very appropriate to demand that the sheriff be present to ensure that safety of the peaceful people.
And the refusal to respond is a dereliction of duty, and he should absolutely be removed from office immediately.
My next question. I looked these guys, in the eyes, and there were three guys that clearly established that they're too low in the totem pole to make any decisions as far as chain of command level stuff. But I was able to break through to these guys and tell them that their objective should be to engage with the people that are at the refuge, to get to know them, sit down, engage in conversation. They were insistent, that their role was to be a supportive role for the sheriff's department, and they kept deferring to their
his position as being lead,
So we now have, if in fact they're deferring to the sheriff, the sheriff has gone out and shaken hands and said the hourglass is running, we're going to come in and shoot and kill you eventually when the hourglass runs up. I mean, in so many words, that was a indirect threat. When he said that comment about the hourglass.
Oh,
Right. At the meeting, he said the hourglass is ticking. I believe, based on what I know, that the FBI needs to, and I'm appealing to them, and I actually asked them to join us in the spirit of constitutional security and upholding their oath. They need to engage in conversation and realize what the quote-unquote demands are of the people inside the refuge. I've encouraged them to do that. Does the sheriff make that call, or where do you think that call needs to come from? Somebody needs to get out there and sit down. And what are they doing? All I see them doing is the same thing. Here's where we'll segue. They did the same thing at Waco. They did their PR psyop. They did their community relations building. They deceived the public. They tried to create the impression that they were religious zealots. They were kook pots. They're militia, people with guns, and so on and so forth, to justify what? In the end, they killed 80 people, a large portion of them who were children. And what we found out was through congressional testimony that the mistakes that were made resulted in the loss of life of even law enforcement. We're trying to prevent that from happening. My recommendation is to have the FBI investigate the local corruption, of course, too.
There's deep
they needed
corruption
to do
in this
that.
county.
Right.
There's deep corruption in this county with the Judge Gratzy is his name. He's absolutely corrupt. He has gone dark. He's refused to respond to emails and phone calls. As a matter of fact, he's got his auto reply on his email. When you send him an email, it says gone. That's all it says. And that's absolutely the best term that I can see fitting for that judge is he's gone. And this community needs to make sure he is gone. We are not going to stop. And we are going to bring a lawsuit. We're going to support the citizens community who have met. They're going to bring a lawsuit against Judge Gratzy personally for civil rights violation and a tort against the county.
Wow, okay.
For his discrimination on using he denied a public employee who wanted to utilize the The fire chief he's an employee of the county, $500 a year salary, that makes
Right.
him an employee of the county.
Right.
He wanted to use the county building for whatever committee he wanted.
For public assembly.
For whatever he wanted to do for public assembly.
Right.
That's a violation of Oregon state law.
And the U.S. Constitution,
And
First
the U.S.
Amendment.
Constitution, but let's talk about criminal. That's criminal. It's a violation of that Oregon state law, and it's an absolute violation of his civil rights. And Judge Grassi should be sued and removed from office immediately, and this public needs to stand up and do that.
Wow. Okay. So we're calling upon the public
Calling upon the
through
public.
this information channel that there's some frustration because really who is to hold these public officials accountable at this point? It's going to be we the people, correct?
Correct. And
Right.
here's the other issue. The community members, time and time again, have gone up there to ask Judge Grassi and the sheriff questions, concern for their community. You know where they're at? They're hiding behind barricades, fences, and lights, and hiding behind their desks.
Under what authority does a county judge, an elected official, have to establish who has the right to rent a county facility for the purposes, for the public benefit? Who is this judge to say who can and can't come and whether or not the public should benefit from an open discussion that's protected by the First Amendment? We have freedoms to assemble. Who is this judge to do this?
The judge does not have the power to do that. What he has done is he has conditioned this community for the last 18, 19 years he's been in office and abused the power through conditioning people of a power he doesn't even have. He has jurisdiction and power over his courtroom. That's where it stays. He does not have the ability to send out emails to the county employees that I've seen, discouraging them from talking to us, and if they do or help us or even gone to local businesses, if they serve us, that there's going to be ramifications. It's a free country. This community has had their First Amendment right squashed for years, and they need to stand up and they need to say no more. They need to get people like Judge Grassi out of here. The dude just needs to get in his car and just drive away and go live somewhere else. He's a dictator, so he needs to go live in some communist country. So he'll fit right in over there. But they need to stand up. They need to remove these people. And the corruption. There's corruption in this county, and it starts right at Judge Grassi, and we are going to uncover it. And we, as the Auto 3% especially, and PPN, when our intelligence teams are investigating something, we'll leave it at that. They're investigating. We are uncovering corruption. And when it is uncovered, when we release that to the public, it's released with facts and the actual documentation to back that up. It's not hearsay. We operate on facts.
Okay.
And here's what I'm telling you. We are investigating Judge Grassi for corruption.
The core importance is of resolving this conflict. It's constitutional. I'm understanding Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17 is really the core, at the core of these land issues here. The taking over, at best, if they're charged with misdemeanor trespassing, that each and every one of those people are willing to accept the consequences of that, but they're unwilling to compromise the U.S. Constitution. Do you share that? I know you do. I know the answer to this question. I share in that same spirit that the U.S. Constitution should not be compromised.
It's non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
And here's a question I want to ask people. Why are we negotiating with terrorist countries to release their terrorists? But we negotiate with that, right? Which is unconstitutional. But here we are fighting for the rights of the Constitution, which this country was founded on, and we're called terrorists. Doesn't make any sense. This is the people's land, for the people, by the people, we the people. What part of that is unclear, is my question to the FBI, the Sheriff Ward, Judge Grassi. What part of that's unclear? Why are not you guys going out to negotiate? And I believe I heard the Sheriff Ward or someone in the county official, so don't quote me on this, but someone in the county said we're not going to negotiate. We don't negotiate. But you negotiate with terrorists across, from these countries that we're at war with to get their prisoners back out of Guantanamo Bay or whatever the case may be, but you won't go up here to a refuge and negotiate to get them to go home.
Do you agree that negotiation, that if it were to take place, that the public, that it will be revealed to the public something that they don't want the public to hear? That the issues are black and white?
I do believe that, but here's what's going to happen. Those are going to come out anyway.
Yeah.
Especially now that we're here.
Right.
The media's here, we're here, they're up there, it's going to come out.
And your role in that position of neutrality for the protection of law enforcement, for the protection of the demonstrators, for the protection of the public, and first and foremost, for the protection of the U.S. Constitution.
Correct.
We've sworn an oath to defend and support the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
Right.
And here we are, it's domestic.
That's right. Go ahead.
Well, and we, in our position here is also to make sure we don't run into a Waco situation.
Right.
And the tactics that are being played out, or if you look back at Waco with the psyops and trying to turn the community against each other and against those who are here to help, and everything that's being done by the FBI is textbook. Same thing happened in Waco. But the one difference between Waco and now is not back during those times. We the people weren't willing to take a stand like we are today, like us being here. Whether it's Idaho 3%, PP, and it doesn't matter. The people are also standing up and saying, we're going to be a buffer. We have community members that have stood with us and we're going to be a buffer
Right.
with these guys.
Right.
No more.
Right.
And the term is no more free Wacos.
Right. And what do you have to say to appeal to those members of the federal law enforcement authorities that, and we discovered this through Waco, I want to also ask them to go back and take a look at the congressional testimony that
Yep.
revealed that a lot of mistakes were made,
Yep.
that from the high command, the orders that were given were the wrong orders to give. That
Absolutely. And the high command that they're following the orders from aren't even here. The high command has no regard for the community here. They have no regard for the citizens here. They don't know, they're not here to have their finger on to get a pulse of it, to diffuse a situation as they see fit for this community. They're sitting in some office building back east telling these guys here what to do. They're completely disconnected. They have no emotion. They don't care about anyone here. Let's make that clear. They don't care. They're not here. If they cared, they'd be here. If they cared, they'd be here to meet us at the gate to discuss with us an open dialogue and show transparency.
right.
It's been said by this administration time and time again, our current administration, which is an absolute joke. This is the most transparent administration we've ever seen. I have seen zero transparency since I've been here. I've seen zero transparency in the operations or missions that we have been on. And I certainly haven't seen any transparency with the FBI when we've asked them who's in charge even. Something simple, who's in charge? Who do we talk to? You know what I get? Talk to the sheriff's office. Go to the sheriff's office, they talk to the FBI.
It's dereliction of duty.
Oh, it's a dereliction of duty on both sides. It's a circus and a monkey show.
Yes. Okay. Which
Civil war.
it'll start a civil war.
Absolutely
Yes.
it will.
Yes.
And it will. That's not something that they want to do.
That's not a threat,
No,
by the
it's
way.
not, but
Right.
that's reality. And,
Right.
and Stuart Rhodes even said that this morning in his release, and I have to agree with that. It's an absolute, going to start an absolute all-out civil war if they don't end this peacefully.
Okay. As things evolve and progress, hopefully in a positive direction, okay, at no point in time will you ever back off on our constitutional stance, that it's non-negotiable, that in the end, any resolution will be absolute 100% constitutionality. Is that?
Absolutely, and we will not back down from that stance. We will not waver, and we will be here in the numbers, if not more, that we're calling for help, that are coming here to do exactly what we do, what we've been doing professionally.
Right.
And we will be here during the duration to make sure that the FBI and all parties involved act accordingly
Right.
with professionalism and being responsible
Right.
and not doing anything stupid.
I want to thank, on behalf of my listeners, the important role that PPN. Thank you for your leadership in this thing, and as we move forward, you're going to be insistent upon, of course, open dialogue,
Yep.
transparency, open lines of communication. This is the only way we can get peaceful resolution.
And it's the only reason we're here, and that's
Right.
what people need to understand. And we're hearing comments of, we're here because we want fame, we're here because we want attention. Let me be very open and candid about something. It's not comfortable for me to be 3 hours from home and leave my family behind and children and stay up in a hotel room like you. It's not comfortable. We're not here for that. And if that's what you think we're here for, I invite anyone to come out here, put boots on the ground before you form an opinion, and you can sit here and do this. Why go out there and do what I want to do? It's not for attention or it's fame. But what we got to do is we got to bring awareness out there. And one of the ways we do that is through media, whether it's social media, mainstream media, or alternative media, grassroots media, whatever you want to call it. That's what we need to do. It's our responsibility to bring awareness out and get that message out. Otherwise, everyone's in the dark.
Yeah.
The more we do that, the naysayers want to say we're doing it for attention and fame. That's absolutely not correct.
It's not correct.
Not correct.
No. In fact, quite the opposite. I want to thank you for your service to our country at probably one of the most important times in my lifetime in our nation's history.
Well, and you know, I put this out there. All the naysayers out there say we're just doing this for whatever reason, ulterior motive. I'm going to tell you, if it was you guys in this position, you guys are going to lose your ranch. I'll be at your front door at your request. It's your request to defend that property. And understand, I don't care what anyone's telling you. I'm sitting here in Burns, Oregon, in Harney County, and I'm telling you, the citizens, there's hundreds of citizens that request us that we're here, and they're thankful that.
It's unwelcome.
And I've seen you welcomed here just as much, if not more so, by community members here. We've been invited to homes for dinner, meals. You know, you saw the supplies in the rooms here that are supposed to go
Right.
to the guys here helping.
Yeah.
The outreach and the outpouring of welcoming has been really, really appreciated, and it's been overwhelming.